the StarTimes Uganda Premier League as match day 22 does continue, and it's going to be a friendly affair and a reunion. Would be seeing more of that drama unfolding at exactly 8 p.m. I do welcome you on today's coverage. I am Alex Mugalu Bisma. I'll be joined by Tendo Anikita Musoke and Asani Uwaswa Mawanda to dissect more of that reunion when Hussein Mbalangu leads the taxmen of URA Football Club, hoping to collect maximum points against his former pay masters. Is there something to achieve for NEC or URA, probably NEC Football Club?
Well, when you look at the positioning, both sides need to get higher on the table. NEC FC are currently 7th with 34 points, and URA are 11th with 22 points. NEC FC have built a reputation of probably ending up in the top 4 or 5 positions, and that has been URA's DNA since they came into the league, to the extent that there are only 2 times since 2002 that URA has fallen below the 6th position, and that was sacrilegious. So where they are standing right now, there is no any other way but going up. Now the challenge is you are facing a side that also wants to go up. And when you look at the results, of course, both games ended in a draw. NEC against Vipers was a draw, and KCCA against URA was also a draw. But the nature of the draw for URA would give them more courage to come, because they came from 2 goals down to force the game onto penalties, and they eventually won, which means they still have a sight of silverware. That is a distraction that could actually deter them from continuing with the run of resurrection. But you must remember that Mbalangu's days were numbered. If he had lost probably the game against KCCA in the Uganda Cup, maybe we would be preaching a different story in this game. But the reprieve he got was because they qualified on penalties. But on paper, it still remained a draw. And one of the many draws that he has made since he got the opportunity to coach the side. Of course, the only good results there were the win against Mbarara, after the draw against Chitara, they 1-1, then they won against Mbarara, then they drew against UPPC, then they won against Lugazi, and then they lost against Express 1-3, and then they beat Tapo in the Uganda Cup. That would be a routine win. So when you look at those results, you would analyze him as having failed to start very well, especially that loss to Express, and then the narrow margin win against Lugazi, and then Mbarara, of course. So you think that he needs to come all out to try and show that against NEC he can actually deliver. Then on the side of NEC, of course, it's the same. The result against Vipers was preceded by a victory against Lugazi in the Cup, because they beat Lugazi to come to the match against Vipers. But after, behind there was a loss against Police FC, and then a draw against UPPC. Then, of course, they beat Lugazi, and then a narrow win against UPDF. That preceded the draw against Vipers. You would think in the draw against Vipers they showed themselves very well, but then narrowly winning against UPDF, and then narrowly winning against Lugazi, where we saw Samuel Sekamate scoring both goals, then drawing against UPPC. You would think probably UPPC is one of the candidates for those positions that NEC wants. They would have put them away, which they failed. So I think both sides need to wake up in this game, which is going to inspire many to perform very well.
Indeed, big questions, and this gentleman will be giving us a few answers of those questions. Who will be taking the charge today as NEC Football Club take on URA FC. The players are already out warming up ahead of today's clash. Those on the screen are URA FC players. There will be a Boyd coming into today's fixture after eliminating KCCA Football Club in the Stanbic Uganda Cup. Hassan, courtesy of the Sport Kicks URA Football Club, they came from 2 goals down to eliminate KCC Football Club.
Yeah, but for me, I think that game KCC gave it away to URA, because I think even the substitutes that that KCCA did, they knew that it was game game over for URA. But unfortunately, this is Mbalango, as Tendo stated. This is Mbalango. Whenever he finds KCC, he always finds that loophole that is in KCCA, and that is what that's what he did. And unfortunately, they did not KCC did not capitalize on their mistakes. But for Mbalango, he did, and eventually he found those loopholes, and he got the 2 goals. And going into sport kicks, it is a 50-50 chance for any team to win. But all in all, it is about how they manage their league games, because Hussein Mbalango is coming to play his former team, and for me, he knows all these boys, and the boys that have been in some other teams that came to NEC. Of course, Sekamata has been there on the scene, playing for Bull and a couple of teams in there. He's a good striker, but for me, it is how Coach Kebi has to play him. Give him that motivation to get on the score sheet, and the more he gets on the score sheet, he gets the morale, he gets the zeal and energy to score more goals in every game that he plays. But all in all, he has to start again today. He did not get on the score sheet against a very formidable Vipers team, and today he is much capable of scoring goals today against a URA team. And for me, he's a good striker, but he needs those balls to be fed to him, and get at the back of the net.
Well, as Samuel Kayongo, as Sekamate, I'll be loving that battle with Ronaldo.
Top of that is Gideon Odong, who actually went off that pitch injured. So that makes it very thin. If you are Mbalango, you cannot say this NEC team very well, because so many players, the turnover is so huge that you might not see the players that you left. So probably this philosophy and everything and the mentality has changed a lot. You might not see Chiemba, you might not see Baiga, you can't see Okao because he's injured. He was one of those who couldn't make it. There is no Muchurezi anymore. Is a young Wandera who comes in probably on the left back. But the challenge is Wandera was switched to the center back position when temporarily Gideon Odong got injured and things became haywire. They almost conceded, if you remember. Then they had to switch back to a formation and put Wandera back with Tony Atukunda in the central defense. So how this team is going to shape up at the back, because it has been the backbone of the team, especially for Annington Sebwarunyo going back to his former paymasters. He needs to keep a clean sheet and command. But how he's going to command this back line will depend on who has actually made the position. If Gideon Odong is not coming back very soon, who is going to make the center-back pairing? Is it going to be Tony Atukunda, like we saw them shuffling? Or are they going to have one of those like Patrick Baiga, who we thought was called in a rush way and was not ready to enter into the fray technically, and they ignored him in form of bringing in forward-thinking players. So that would be the foundation for NEC going forward, because the fact that they don't score many goals means they must have a very steady backline and a very stable midfield. Now, if, for instance, Tony is switched into the backline, then the question is going to be into the midfield, which he had already settled with Shamiru Chimwero. There is going to be a question there in case it's going to be shuffled. So that is something probably you would want to look at in the next setting. Otherwise, Mbalango cannot say he knows this side.
Okay, sure, he can't say that he knows at this side. Maybe he could be knowing the players. And
of course he knows them. The legend that left Express and joined, he was meeting them, but then they were playing a different approach. And this next side plays very differently from the Lions he left.
Surely.
Thing for Mbalango is his trust in the young players. The reason he wanted Basangwa is because he's part of the under-20 side that was functioning so well. And in that side, he also signed Derek Kakoza, who was Basangwa's striking partner. So he never got Basangwa because when he left NEC, then Basangwa joined NEC. But he has Derek Kakoza and he also has Isma Mugurusi. And the passion with which he's using him, plus Justin Opiro, they are all under 20 So I think he believes in bringing the youth much more because he was also a full international at under 20 level, more than at the senior side due to the competition. So he knows how to trust the young players. But the challenge is they are flipping through formations. In the other game, they played something that looks similar to a back three, and that transcends into a 5-man back line with Disan and Begisa playing as wing backs, and then dropping back to help the three that were Oti, Hood Muliki and Bright Vuni. But then Muliki was dropping inside to become a midfielder when they needed to get space. Hood is not in the picture right now. I think he wants now to have a traditional back four and then have a 4 or 3-man midfield up front with Aliro probably and Semuju on one of the wings, sandwiching Amaku to try and get the goals. And then the three, Namanya, Chisoro and Moses Waiswa. The question is, when you look at the midfields of both sides, there is no fight that is going to happen. It's going to be football and too much running. Now, Hassan will tell you what that means, because you are not going to expect Tukunda to be a bully in that midfield, and you are not going to expect Moses Waiswa either, but you are going to expect a lot of passing and movement. Same way with Chisoro and Noman Namanya. And again, Kuranga and Seremba will give you more pace and commitment than the fight that we expect. So that sleekness could give us a good game, but also could give both teams weaknesses where they need to have push going to shove. Like we saw the fouls that Atukunda was making, were giving him cards because he's not a natural fighter like Tadeo Rwanga.